What's up, everybody? Anthony Sevins back again for yet another product review. Today we're going to be discussing ARCADE1UP's Star Wars machine. This is a beautiful, beautiful stroll down nostalgia lane. I mean, it's great. The original Star Wars arcade came out in 1983. I think I was 5 years old at the time. And yes, even at 5 years old, I clearly remember playing this thing in arcades or places that had arcade machines, as I was pretty much spoon-fed Star Wars since the day I was born. So I remember the first place I saw this, I think it was a pizza joint, or some kind of kids land with an arcade there. And I remember walking in, and it was the sit-down version of this machine. They actually did make two versions. There was the sit-down, so you kind of felt like you were seated in an X-Wing fighter playing the game. And then they did make a version just like this, the stand-up one. Same exact controls as the sit-down one. There was nothing different between the games or the gameplay or the graphics for original Star Wars. But I remember, in the sit-down one, you really felt like, you were flying the X-Wing fighter, as a 5-year-old. It was just like a video game that was just so cool. I mean, it's really hard to describe. If you were there, if you lived it, And it doesn't matter if you were a little kid or a teenager in those days. It was just a cool-ass fucking game. First-person shooter, you're flying around, destroying TIE fighters and pillars and flying through the trench and all that other stuff. Now, the thing with this game is that it is a 3-level repeat. So first level, you shoot TIE fighters. Second level, you're shooting all of the towers on the surface of the Death Star. Third level, you're flying through the trench. But every time you pass, it gets harder and harder and harder. The great thing about this game, though, is that with each stage you pass, you build up 1 or 2 shields depending on how well you do. So you can rack up points fairly easy, especially, what's great about this is even in the arcade, you can start off on easy, medium, or hard. It's like choose your destiny. So you don't really get many points when you start off on easy, but I always start off on hard and just take my chances because I want to rack up the points, right? But it's an extremely difficult game. It is an extremely difficult game to beat. It is an extremely difficult game to navigate through after, the 4th, 5th, 6th levels. I mean, you're crashing and dying. I mean, this is a game. The fun about it is the replay value. You can sit here and just keep getting better and better and better and just trying to beat your high score all the time. I mean, I have had this machine now for about a year, maybe a little less than a year, going on a year, I should say, and I'm really not that far. And I still constantly jump on this thing just with the simple thought of I'm going to beat my last high score if it kills me. And I'll sit here for a couple of hours and just, of course, taking breaks and just keep going and try to beat my high score. So it does have a very cool replay value. Kind of sucks it doesn't come with Wi-Fi and you can't challenge people all around the world or anything like that. But still, an incredible design, totally nostalgic. It's got the look and vibe and feel of the game that I remember in 1982. I also had the Star Wars arcade game for the original Atari system, which is pretty much like this, but a much, much more generic version. Now, this game comes with 3 different games: Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Empire Strikes Back, it's a little different. It's the same kind of design, same kind of graphics, pretty much same kind of gameplay, except that when you're a snow speeder, instead of just firing lasers, you also have the trigger buttons to fire harpoons at the feet of the Imperial walkers. Now, some of you, not all of you, might be saying, well, when the hell did that come out in the arcade? About the time when Empire Strikes Back, the movie, came out, not too long after the original Star Wars arcade. But one of the reasons why a lot of people didn't see Empire in the arcade is because Empire Strikes Back was an upgrade kit that was sent to the arcades to give the arcade owners the options whether they wanted to open up their machine and install Empire Strikes Back and put the stickers on the side of the cabinet and go through all of that work. There were a lot of arcade owners that were just kind of lazy and said, fuck this, I'm not going to do all of that. Star Wars is making a decent amount of money as it is. But to those who did manage to switch around everything and transform this cabinet into Empire Strikes Back, which again uses the same controls. So the only thing that had changed was like the stuff inside the program, and then the stickers and the marquee, and that was all they had to do. But to those who did switch over to Empire, found that it was actually a better game than Star Wars. As much fun and as nostalgic as Star Wars was, Empire Strikes Back, it took it a level up. Because, I mean, you still have, it's still, 3 stages or so, 4 stages, 3 stages, and it just gets repetitively harder and harder and harder. But what makes it even more difficult is that when you lose shields in the Empire Strikes Back, you do not get them back. So you're really taking your chances. However, if you do manage to get through a wave and collect all your letters, because each stage you collect an individual letter to spell out the word Jedi when you reach certain points, right? And then if you collect the whole word of Jedi and pass a whole series, like a whole stage, then you get extra bonus points. And when you do die, you are able to start off at much harder levels and earn more points for achieving that goal. So Empire, I mean, again, same kind of graphics, same kind of controls, same first player, starship point of view. It was really incredible. And even myself, I could admit, I missed the Empire Strikes Back. I did not play that in the arcade. Everywhere I went, it just had Star Wars. It just had the original Star Wars game. Now, we go to Return of the Jedi, and they decide to really switch things up. Now, this was a completely different machine, and it did not have the graphics or the gameplay that Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back did. And it kind of, to me, Return of the Jedi, yeah, okay, some will argue like, hey, it's a decent game, it's really challenging. Yeah, but it really pulled too far away, I think, personal opinion, pulled way too far away from the design of the original two. Because I remember my first reaction of seeing Return of the Jedi in the arcade was, ooh, Return of the Jedi. And I ran up to it and like, what the hell is this? Like, this is different. But it started with a speeder bike. You start right away on a speeder bike, but you actually see your character on a speeder bike from an overhead point of view on an angle. It's weird. I'll give you a quick run through in a minute. But anyways, so Return of the Jedi, for me, I was very, very turned off by it. I can say I played Return of the Jedi once when it was in the arcades, and I forgot about it. I let it be. I was like, fuck this. This game sucks. Whatever. Now they come out with this machine, and now I can relive all 3 of those games again without having to pump a zillion dollars worth of quarters to experiment or try these out, so on and so forth. And again, if you own the game, you're probably pretty proud of this machine too. Granted, not the greatest graphics in the universe, but one of the big appeals to this game is that it was one of the very first arcade games to use actual sound bites from the Star Wars movies, as well as these were George Lucas approved games for its time. George Lucas played it. And, yes, I love this. Let's do it. So that made it extra cool for Star Wars fans. So anyways, let's get a closer look here at this stuff. And we'll actually show you some of the gameplay from the start. So you turn on the machine, the light up marquee, which is very awesome, goes on. And then let's rock and roll. And just like all the other arcade machines, you got a volume adjusted. It's pretty loud. There are 2 speakers, one on each side up at the top, right underneath the marquee. So it makes it pretty loud. Now, when you menu select, whoa! Super cool. and then it takes you right. All right, and I'm just going to play just a few seconds here. So I'll start off on very easy. All right, so as you can see, you're pretty much your Luke Skywalker in his X-Wing fighter throughout the duration of the entire game. Now we go to Empire Strikes Back. And you'll see it's pretty much the same graphics.
He could destroy us.
Except they kicked everything up a little bit, and you start off as Luke in his snowspeeder.
May the Force be with you.
Again, being able to choose easy, medium, or hard. We'll go to we'll go to hard just to show you.
There's a meteorite hit the ground near you.
Start off shooting droids.
The Force is with you.
See, I collected the J. All right, now I'm going to exit out of here.
Watch your crossfire, boys.
Yeah, watch across. See, I love how they actually have sound bites from the film. That just makes it so much more attractive, just in general, like when they came out with the first, with the game. And now we go to the abominable Return of the Jedi. See, and again, this is what you see when you first step up to the game. So you're kind of like, 1984, what the hell is this? And, it's just showing you the demo here. This is the speeder bike scene. So, from going, playing for years on a first-person, shooter, and then going to this, it's just kind of like, what the hell? But I will show you here.
The security deflector shield will be deactivated when we have confirmation of your code transmission. Leave them to me. I will deal with them myself.
So the sound bites are still there, which is awesome.
I see them. Wait for me.
But it's so hard to control. And you try to make the biker scouts crash into the trees. See? I died just instantly. I killed myself by crashing into a tree. So yeah, that's enough of that. Holy smokes. All right, we're going to pull out of that. But as you can see, at least, if you're interested in giving Return of the Jedi a try, who knows, maybe you'll be better at it than I was. So now you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, that's really all I got. I think the gameplay on this is fantastic. I think the controls are fantastic, that it has a light-up marquee, and it even came with a custom riser, which is actually pretty cool. This was actually a little package deal, so I think around the holidays I paid $500 and a little extra in tax and shipping for this, and it was totally worth it. I was kind of, because ARCADE1UP actually, they do make the sit-down version of this, kind of a shake-and-bake version where it's this, but it doesn't come with a riser, and it comes with a sit-down seat instead. So everything's just lower to the floor. But it takes up a little bit more room, so I just kind of figured the arcade, and I got the stool, whatever. But yeah, the sound is fantastic. The speakers, as I was trying to show you, one is here and one is up here underneath, concealed and hidden. But it booms. It's loud as shit, and I love it. I like it loud. I think that's just like Kiss. I love it loud. And but it is just a fantastic game, and definitely one, even though it's not the greatest graphics that all of my ARCADE1UPs have. But it is such a piece of history and nostalgia, and whether you're a fantasy, sci-fi, or a diehard Star Wars fan like I am, it truly is. I can almost guarantee you that every person that owns this, and even if they bought it just for the nostalgia, this is a very proud, unique piece in their collection, and this is one that not many people are willing to get rid of unless they're extremely desperate for money or they're desperate for room, and it's one of many that they want to get rid of, you know. So I mean, but it's definitely, once you get it, it's honest to Christ, it is a machine, an ARCADE1UP to be proud of. I'm so glad that I got it. It was worth paying that little extra money. You know, as I state in my other videos, when it comes to ARCADE1UP, sometimes with various price points, us, the consumers, the game players, the collectors, we kind of don't know sometimes. Like, is it going to be worth it? It might be worth it. It might not be worth it. And but this one, even paying a little over $500, was 1,000% worth it. 3 games, total nostalgia, unique looking cab, all the bells and whistles. And from my understanding too, if you're the kind of person that likes to modify, you can actually replace the controls and stuff and make things a little bit more authentic to your liking. But that's all I have for you today. Shut up. That's all I have for you today. This is Anthony Sevins signing off. The ARCADE1UP Star Wars machine. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other.